With joyful, expectant hearts, we gather on this beautiful, beautiful morning as the waves lap in. We're so thankful to have you all here. Join me in prayer. God, we give thanks for the sun and the wind and the waves and the beauty that is all around us. This morning, may we have eyes to hear and ears, eyes to see and ears to hear the wisdom that you have for us this morning. Amen. We'll say hello to those that you're seated near. We want to say welcome back to Christina Trulio, Bob Hasty, and Elliot Gelman. And the last Worship on the Beach is September 16th.
Well, there's a theme for today, and it's so many of our kids are all going back to school. A lot of the college-age kids are already gone. They start next week, and then high school. And little kids, it's a big time of transition for families. So all the songs are sort of geared towards that idea. in the center of your heart. You are here, you are here, you are here.
Now the serpent was more crafty than any other wild animal that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God say you shall not eat from any tree in the garden?" Really? The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat of the trees in the garden, but God said you shall not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the middle of the garden, nor shall you touch it, or you shall die." But the serpent said to the woman, "You will not die. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate, and she also gave to her husband, who was. I recently watched Amy, the 2015 documentary about Amy Winehouse. Maybe you've seen this. If not, it's worth watching. The opening footage shows Amy at 15 messing around with her friends. They're all singing "Happy Birthday." The film critic Anthony Lane writes of this opening scene, "The other voices soon make way for hers. An extraordinary sound, as effortless as a choir voice, clearly God-given. Not that you could imagine it in church, it would snuff out all the candles. Already the tone is illicitly rich and strong, like hot chocolate fortified with rum. And you can't help wondering of this dark-eyed girl with a gift, what the devil will become of her." Amy died at the infamous age of 27 after years of defeating her body with drug and alcohol abuse. The documentary Amy left me feeling pretty low, as if the world had been cheated out of one of its exceptional talents. An extraordinarily gifted woman who was again and again enchanted and beguiled and inveigled by the persons and substances that would combine to kill her. Rotten boyfriends, one in particular. A greedy father bent on exploiting the outrageous talents of his daughter. And then an army of Amy's own demons that lured her on to destruction. Amy got me to thinking about the extraordinary beauty and frailty of life, and about temptation, and about the story of the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden story is eerily similar to the story of Amy, right down to one lover giving the other lover a taste of forbidden death. In Amy's case, it was her beau, Blake Fielder, who gave the fruit. Her first taste of heroin, and many more after that. Even so smug as to smuggle dope to Amy while she was in rehab. As Thomas Keating observes, the story of creation is not just about Adam and Eve. It's really about us. The story of the human condition, a desperate search for true happiness. And in this desperate search for happiness, and wholeness, we're all tempted by all sorts of things that keep us wandering afield just beyond paradise. And sometimes, like Amy, in our desperate search, we stray too close to the edge and we go off. God's question from the garden story, "Where are you?" is one of the great spiritual questions that calls to all of us. And it can sound a bit haunting when we're off wandering in turpitude and addiction. Where are you? When we do hear God calling, often we're too preoccupied to hear, but our answer might be something like, "I'm busy. I'll be right there," calling over our shoulder the way we did to our mom. Or, "I'm busy. I'll be right there, face down at a phone, madly texting." Or, "I'm busy. Stop bothering me." The temptation to jump from one temptation to the next is what keeps us from knowing the realm and the reality of God, the apex of existence. It's possible for all of us to know if we choose. Or we can be content to keep searching through the many mirages of happiness and self-satisfaction that are scattered all around us, shimmering like so many oases in the desert, only to vanish once you come near.
But how can they know it's time for them to go? Before the winter fire, I'll still be dreaming. I have no thought of time. Your fickle friends are leaving. But then you know it's time for them to go. But I will still be here. I have no thought of leaving. I do not count the time. Who knows
devil said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command this stone to become a loaf of bread." Jesus answered him, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone." Then the devil led him up, showed him in an instant all the kingdoms of the world. And the devil said to him, "To you I will give their glory and all this authority, for it has been given to me, and I give it to anyone I please. If you then will worship me, it will be all yours." Jesus answered him, "It is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." Then the devil took him to Jerusalem, placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to protect you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." Jesus answered him, "It is said, do not put the Lord your God to the test." When the devil had finished every test, he departed from him until an opportune time. The other day, a friend of mine was describing her extraordinary doctor, a top-notch medical doctor with the soul of a poet, so I'll call him Zhivago. On a recent checkup, Zhivago listed for my friend the top 7 things, in order of importance, that my friend could do for her health. Number 1 on the list: stop the distracted driving, with 2 exclamation points. I saw this list myself. That was number 1. 2 exclamation points. As a parent with 2 little kids and an avid cyclist who often shares the road with cars, distracted driving is worrisome for me, except when I'm doing it. Not really. It's important then too. You'll see how. I routinely give no texting speeches, driving speeches. Lydia gets the brunt of my orations. I often point out people who are texting in cars that we pass on the road. Occasionally, I give a little beep when I'm at a now green light and the car in front of me is still parked, preoccupied with their phone. Ever seen one of these beautiful situations? Or maybe been one of them? It's a whole new road out there with a handheld computer. So to curtail my own temptation, I put a function on my phone that detects when I'm driving. Now, when I pick up the phone while driving, it gives me a message. Do not disturb. You will not receive notifications while driving. Right? Do any of you have this on your phone? Okay. When someone sends me that message, I know it at first really irritated Tom. Now I think he has it. When someone sends me a message while driving, they receive a return message that says, "I'm not receiving notifications. If this is urgent, reply urgent to send the notification through with your original message." Then the function also offers a button that says, "I'm not driving," to override the system. Now, perhaps I'm in a car that's moving but not driving. I want to use the phone. I press this button. But I shouldn't press that button any other time, right? Last week, on my way to lead, I can't even hardly say it, meditation, I'm driving my car, and somewhere along McKinley, I'm not exactly sure where, I noticed police lights in my rear view. And when you get those police lights, you sometimes wonder, how long have they been following me? You know, was I speeding? Nope. Was I running stop signs? Nope. Was I texting while driving? Nope. I was surfing while driving. Worse, probably. Looking up some trivial thing that popped to mind that I couldn't wait to look up and know about. The action to reach for the phone is so subtle, so ingrained in our habit, that we scarcely know we're doing it, except I do with my do not disturb function. I know exactly what I'm doing. I have to push the I'm not driving button. I have to lie to my phone. It's so pathetic. It's really humiliating. I almost didn't share any of this today, but I have to come clean. As the officer, I'll make this connection with part one. Pushing I'm not driving is not too dissimilar to Amy Winehouse and her addiction. For her, and she says this in the documentary, her sober life was boring. For me, life is full of questions that I want answers to all the time, apparently including while driving. Now, as the officer approached my vehicle, I had another important choice before me. I could protest, make some excuse, weave a nice little story. It's a little easier than speeding to make a story, deny I was on the phone, or I could face the consequences of my actions. I rolled down the window. The officer said, I pulled you over for distracted driving. I said, I know. Did you receive an important text? He said. He's leaving the window open for me. He asked in a way that implied if I indeed have a sufficient answer to this question, I might be off the hook. No, sir, I said. Instead, I said something about how glad I was that he was ticketing me. And then I go on to say, I hope he gives more tickets for distracted driving. And this is pretty feeble and lame, coming from the guy getting the ticket. I'm off on another, like, you know, don't text while driving speech while getting a ticket. It's pathetic. Now, distracted driving is something that theoretically I don't want to do. I don't want others to do it either because of what the action inevitably produces, dangerous roads. So my challenge is what I call a second-tier challenge, being able to release the temptation, releasing the desire for the information in the moment. But there's a first-tier challenge that we all face maybe in this issue or some other issue, and it's the challenge of being aware at all that there's a problem with the temptation at hand. In this example, being aware that distracted driving is a problem. Some people simply not aware. So a life of wisdom requires these two things: awareness and then release of the temptation. In order to make responsible choices, we must be aware enough to ask ourselves, what will this action produce? Temptation, as a spiritual practice, can allow us to see potential pitfalls before we choose them, if we work the angles. That's the hard part. This is the spiritual practice. Giving the temptation, working the angles, what will this all produce? You might think to yourself, well, I don't have that much temptation in my life. And that we can all laugh at that point. Now we've got a first-tier challenge. Awareness is your challenge. Temptation is every moment of our life. The number of thoughts you have in a day are as many temptations as you have. 50 to 70,000. 50 to 70,000 thoughts. Our spiritual journey, if we choose to take it, we don't have to, is toward authentic power amidst all kinds of pseudo-power that ends either in impotence or in destruction somewhere down the road. Christ's temptation in the wilderness is archetypal of authentic power. Clear-eyed awareness coupled with an unshakable resolve to release the temptation. The brilliant Presbyterian minister and author Frederick Buechner remembers a Sunday morning at Madison Avenue Presbyterian Church when he heard the Reverend George Buttrick say these words that changed the trajectory of Buechner's life. The inward coronation of Christ takes place in the hearts of those who believe in Him among confession and tears and great laughter. This is the path for spiritual practice. Confession, when we choose the temptation of pseudo-power, like I did hitting, I'm not driving. This is my confession today. I am driving. Tears in response to our weaknesses and our ignorance. And then great laughter as we get up and have another go at life. Spiritual practice is repeating this cycle of confession, tears, laughter, again and again, until in time we're transformed into the Master's likeness. In the meantime, I'm putting my phone out of arm's reach while in the car. I'll call it my little prophylactic release. Amen.
Yesterday, a child came out to wonder, caught a dragonfly inside a jar. Fearful when the sky was full of thunder, and tearful at the fall of a star. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the pain of homes go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round again in the circle again. Then the child moved 10 times round the season, skated the carousel of time. We can't return, can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in a circle game. 16 springs and 16 summers gone now. Cartwheels turn to car wheels through the town, and they tell him, take your time, it won't be long now, till you drag your feet too slow, the circles down. And the seasons, they go round and round, painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in a circle again. So the years spin by now, the boy is 20. Those dreams have lost some grandeur coming true. There'll be new dreams, better dreams, and plenty before that last revolving year is through. And the seasons, they go round and round, painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in a circle again. And go round and round and round in a circle game.
As you confront the thousands of temptations every single day, and remembering that how you practice makes permanent. Go in peace, and joy, and love, and understanding of others and their weaknesses. And the people said, Amen.
And what can you make me feel when you're around? I can talk to you out loud. I whisper all these little things you know.